Dear friends, I'm glad to see you all. It's Friday, 3rd of June, 9 p.m., 100th day of this war. A weird anniversary. Nothing good, of course, and nobody knew that will drag so far. Glad to see you, Olexiy. Glad to see you tonight with us. Yes, good evening, everybody. I just made another announcement. We had an interesting stream with Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, an opposition leader of Belarus, and Alexei participated in that stream as well. So please check it out after this one is done. Please go watch that stream. Privateer Station, the ones who are listening to that in English, will translate that probably tomorrow. So we'll try to give it to you then on Saturday. And today's stream will not be too long because Mark has a birthday. So please do not forget to subscribe and share your likes and share the stream with your friends. Let me start in a different manner. I'm maneuvering, I'm trying to do something new. Alright, dear friends, those who don't know, Mark has a birthday today, and I suggest everybody congratulate him and give him a like on this video. That will really make a good happy birthday present for Mark. I would be happy. Thank you. Happy birthday, Mark. From the bottom of my heart. In a few weeks, I will have my birthday, so... Oh yeah, it'll be a special day, there'll be a lot of surprises. 3rd of August. Alright, let's walk the perimeter of the front. The question that people keep asking. Oh my god, Belarus army with special equipment are moving towards the border of Ukraine. They indeed are. It is a planned rotation for some of the detachments that are on the border with Ukraine. We do not track any groupings for assault, so there is nothing to be afraid of. If there'll be a reason to be worried, we'll of course let you know. It's almost like every second message I get is asking, tell us, are Belarusians attacking us? Are they coming anytime? No, they're not, so that's a false alarm. However, we still face issues with possible missile threats from Belarus, because Russia sent a few detachments that can do that. But they've been quiet, relatively quiet recently, so we hope they'll stay in that stance for a while. So, in the north, Russia was recently attacking a few different positions, trying to shell Chernigov. Artillery and aviation is trying to hit Ukraine settlements, cities, infrastructure. They are not going deep inside, they're just coming to the border and shooting from across the border. And they're telling us to not move troops from the north, so we're not moving. We keep enough contingent there to repel anything that may come this way. And there is nothing to worry about. We are working to make sure the threats are minimized. But of course, pay attention to the air assault sirens and go take cover whenever they sound. So near Kharkov, there are several helicopters, Mi-8, that usually are not used for military warfighting. They actually did use them for attacking some of our positions, and that was a surprise. Otherwise, there is nothing major happening. They've been trying to attack some of our positions, but nothing came out of it. And as always, war is very fluid, so things may change in the next couple of days, but for now there is no change. On Slaviansk, Russians are trying to push and move towards Svetogorsk. At the same time, they're refilling, restocking, resupplying the troops that they have there. to hopefully increase their pace and reach to Slaviansk, to the outskirts of the city, but we'll see if they even succeed that. Now, for Severodonetsk, they keep about 20% of that city. Sorry, half of the city. Our troops are keeping about 20%, and the rest is basically an open battle zone. Where they attacked before, near Avdiivka, Kurachovskaya, Zaporozhye, there was no movement in the last 24 hours. There, the enemy is regrouping, adding reserves to their front. They recently exhausted themselves and there was no advance, so they need to restock, resupply R&R. So what about Kherson? Anything happening there? We're trying to follow it on the map. Yes, there is a bit of a headbutting in that area near that area you're showing on the map. They crossed the river, went for a few miles on the other side. Russian troops are trying to kick us out. We are not advancing any further, but Russian troops cannot also have no success kicking us out. All right. So there is some fighting happening near Snegurovka, probably the most serious in this direction. So, take a look here. We had a new delegation apparently visiting Mariupol. They appear to travel there rather often. They're trying to bring new clowns or whatever passes in Russia for artists. There was an actor, Mironov, not talentless, but yeah, they're bringing them over to the area and showing them to the remnants of civilians. I don't know what they're relying or they're hoping to see, but as far as referendum is concerned, do you think they'll proceed? Do you think they'll do it in Kherson and part of Zaporozhye region, or they'll be deferring that because they're afraid to lose these territories? What if they're deoccupied? Then who needs a referendum? So they went via different routes. And this is one of the characteristic behaviors of Putin. He gives different groups of influence an opportunity to prepare and maybe even start their process and preparation, and then by his own will and his own whim, he picks the one that will be implemented. So you see that there are people preparing for announcing Kherson as a separate territory, as a Russian territory, some people preparing for the referendum. There is also another group working on the possible acceptance of LNR and DNR into the continental Russia, but statements of their military political apparatus keep causing me a good laughter. So, for example, yesterday Medvedev or somebody would come out and say, yeah, we'll make it. We'll accept all of these regions into our country. And then a day later, Peskov comes out, and a speaker for Putin, and says, no, we cannot take them. The situation is not simple. It is the will of the people locally, so they need to vote, and we cannot do the referendum because there is war there. So they are sending different messages into the environment, and they reach their addressees depending upon who wants to listen to what. It's a game. Deep inside this game, there is some solution brooding, and I suspect it will be related to an attempt to annex this territory one way or another, because they do need to sell something to Russian people. Those huge losses that Russian armies suffered here, tens of thousands dead. What will you offer for that? Suggesting LNR and DNR to be incorporated in Russia? You could have done it before the war, but if you do that and that everything else you occupied, and then maybe Belarus, as they initially, some people said, were planning, and then maybe South Ossetia and Abkhazia, and you almost kind of recreated USSR. So it, again, for the brainwashed, may sound that they achieved something here. The head diplomat of the EU also mentioned that they're not happy to see Russia giving Russian passport to the people who live under the occupation of Russia on those territories. So that's the position stated by EU. They will not acknowledge these territories to be part of Russia, one way or another. So that's a signal. We have 220,000 people watching us live. Please connect those who are watching to us. Subscribe to my channel, to Alexei's channel. It's Friday, it's my birthday. So please leave your like, that helps. Today, Putin, he kind of looks like raised from the dead, gave an interview to a Russian TV company, Federal. Some people noticed Walking Dead. He's talking about the food crisis again. He met with the chiefs of the African Union and said they'll not be putting any mines, they'll not be preventing Ukraine from exporting their goods, so meaning that they probably will continue doing that. Although probably Africa was providing some pressure on him to make sure that the food is there are routes open for the food to reach Africa. So what do you think about this story? It kind of reminds me of the detective TV series. Turkish press publishes that almost everything is coordinated and set, and very soon Russia, Ukraine, and Turkey will be sitting down at the table and discussing possible solutions for export of Ukraine food. Probably regarding to that, Putin comes out and tells the story that, first of all, we are not doing anything bad. It's Ukrainians who, for some reason, put water mines around their ports and don't want to export anything. We are good and nice people. We are bringing our own food items everywhere. We're not even going to their ports. They're so good and proper. It just appears that Ukraine all of a sudden became mad and doesn't want to export grain. And poor Putin needs to somehow appeal to the world, to the United Nations, to make sure that they need to convince the mad Ukrainians to send some food to the starving people of Africa. So that's Russia. That's what they are. Their level of diplomacy is like daycare sandbox. And they're lying as if there is no war. And because there is no reason for Ukraine to not export food items. And Kiev is just insane. That needs to be stopped. And that millions of Africans should not be starving without Ukrainian bread. So we don't know if such a meeting can even be possible in that format. But war is war. We do understand that people do need bread. Those who are staying or going to stay without bread because we could not supply that, they're not parties to that war. So for us, we do try to export as much as we can wherever we have open routes. I suspect world community is pressing on him and promising him issues of such a magnitude for that food crisis that even he doesn't want to confront them alone. So perhaps they are thinking that it's better to just let Ukraine trade to avoid the consequences. So that statement was pretty serious, and hopefully there'll be some motion. Medvedev surprised me. I was thinking recently that Russia has not changed or shifted their war goals recently. They used to do it almost every week. So this week Medvedev woke up and said that their new goal in Ukraine, of special operation in Ukraine, sounds like this: creation of new non-American centric system of international security. Well, he's a fucktard. You can't even take him seriously. He's a literal imbecile. He is an he's an ex-president of Russian Federation. Oh, I beg your pardon. But yeah, he's also vice chair of the National Security Council in Russia. He comes out and says, as if nothing happened, that they're trying to create a new, not American-centric defense system, the security system in the world. Just if you follow the logic, the center of American security was actually in Ukraine, and all Russia is doing is trying to destroy it. And even America was not sure that the center existed there, and that's a big mystery. Nobody knows about it, but I have to make a statement, so make sure nobody's listening. I'm actually sitting in that center of American-centric world. So their information component in their statement is really something. And there was one more thing that he stated, that if Ukraine will use equipment to attack any piece of territory of Russia, he said that as a response, Russia would need to hit and destroy the center where decisions of attack Russian territory were taken, and not only in Kiev. So, you know, barking at an elephant, I guess, yeah, remembering the Russian poem. This is rather symptomatic of him, I think. And as another piece of news this week, Newsweek, pretty serious publication. I gave them a few interviews about when I was defending Pussy Riot and such. They published they're an American publication, and they're posting materials that Putin might be seriously ill with cancer and things may happen. They're not saying he'll die tomorrow, but it's already coming out as a fact that he has cancer. This is basically a known mystery, known secret at this point. And people are also saying that public activity of Medvedev and other supporters of Putin's regime who make statements that do not match his mental acuity or height or position. So it might be a way to earn certain space under the sun when Putin is gone. And they don't know who will be, so to say, eaten or destroyed after Putin's disappearance. But they're afraid, so each of them is trying to come out and do something. How does the name for that thing? The metal pants when you cannot have sex? That's called chastity belt. Something that Medvedev needs. He doesn't need sound mechanics there. But anyway, enough of me being rude. Let me bring another thing. What if the war is going on and Putin does not exist? What do you mean? Already cease to exist, or will not be at the time? Just imagine, what would you say in your official capacity? I cannot speak in my official capacity here. I'm speaking as a person. So we heard that Putin might have cancer. I heard about that. I knew about that back in 2020. But the thing is, Kremlin medicine, they are trying to make their people live longer. And I think that Russian Federation, same as USSR, same as Russian Empire or Moscow Kingdom, they do not have experience or protocols to recover from the event of the leader's death. In Russia, death of a leader is always a crushing change of reality. I do not believe that after Putin's death, Collective Patrushev, or whoever is going to be there, would be able to leak and show that he's still alive. So how do you think they may hide that event of his going? Well, probably for the first 2 weeks they will prepare some fortifications on the streets before people take it to the streets, and maybe also try to do certain movements in all the levels of government. But I'm thinking that whenever he dies, somebody will leak that information. And there'll be difficult times for Russia at that moment. I'm sure there'll be people jailed and more things. Even those deaths in the 80s after Brezhnev died in the Soviet Union, Chernenko, Andropov, after each death, the situation changed in Russia dramatically. And they will not be able to hide it. Maybe for 2 weeks, but after that, it will come out. And then there'll be a question. Why on earth do you need to destroy American-centric world doing it in Ukraine? And I don't think anyone can explain out of today living out of the leaders, Putin's leaders who are in power today, when this question will be asked later. Of course, the leader wants things, he has all the power, and in this situation, everybody who is asked if they want to support war, they are saying, of course they are, even more than Putin, and they'll find explanation why now it's important, why this leader's decision is good, why Russia and the world needs that, and after deaths of Putin, what would you pretend for? After his death, most people will realize one important thing. They'll need to start fighting for the remnants of power, money, and other resources. So whatever is left of political top, they'll be quarreling over that. War in Ukraine is not a part of that picture. They do need their own police and guard. They will need it really badly then to protect their interests inside Russia. So you think the war in Ukraine will stop immediately? Not immediately, but it will definitely come to a quick end, because there'll be a lot more questions inside Russia than outside, and it likely will be changing as an avalanche. They will not be able to provide for a smooth transition. In such a situation, the possibility of Crimea occupation, does it grow? It grows exponentially too, and it's not because Kiev wants to attack, it's because Russia at this point will not be bothered to resist. What for? What is the goal? Another slogan to say we're fighting for Ukraine, hooray? Just listen to their conversations, to the intercepts. It's hard to imagine more tired people from all that war. And they also do understand, okay, I'm a commander of the 22nd detachment in Crimea. And I start heroic resistance from Ukraine's attempts to get this territory. Who would need that? Moscow? Moscow would not care about it at this moment. But there'll be Americans, Poles, Brits, everybody who will come and help Ukraine, if not physically, at least politically and with weapons. And we'll also carefully observe who came to help the world society in ending this war, or who will be trying to continue with that deadly line of Putin regime. So even though, if at this time there'll be a next group in Russia who could claim themselves as independent and free, even those people will, although corrupt as they probably will be, they'll still be pointing fingers if somebody will continue to resist on the on the territories they initially occupied in Ukraine. They likely will bring their head to the world community saying, look, this is the junta, we are fine. These are the guys who are like a brigadier general who's resisting you. And he's preventing the world peace from happening. So he's in charge of everything. He might have also been in Mariupol, and he might have been in Bucha, and he might have done everything in Ukraine, so he should be put under the tribunal. Because the more they give up of the military leaders and military commanders who partook in crimes, more next government will try to look cleaner. So, very likely they'll continue fighting and quarreling within Russia for their interests, which regions should be allowed to voice their opinion, which shouldn't. But somebody will pay for that war, for sure. And they will give up those people, head, tails, and everything to the court systems. So what do you think about the serial character of these publications, which doesn't cancel its content, but about Putin's cancer and stuff, but also as an attempt to push some of Putin's elite that is not quite happy right now with things going on, that you can really get rid of this guy and write it off to his cancer, that he went bananas, and that's what was happening. And nobody will blame you if you decide to get rid of your crazy disabled leader. Sometimes I see that the provocative character of these publications might actually be aimed at kicking the wasp's nest. Look, especially generals in Russia who failed to control Putin, or oligarchs who lost money and are crying that they have to live on less than $1,000 a month. That is a perfect exit solution for this group. That he was terminally ill anyway. Yeah, I think this is the solution being offered to them. What is the advantage? Right now, their whole responsibility is a collective. There is an old tradition that was called to blame the dead. So that's the thing. When Putin dies, likely that's what's going to happen. When he goes, they all will be saying that it was all on him. He even kept our families hostages, and nothing depended from us. Some Narishkin will come out and say, remember on that TV broadcast, I was mumbling, I couldn't even say and articulate properly. I was so concerned about deaths of people in Ukraine and the destiny of the world. I was mumbling for a reason. That was a signal that I am against this war. I've done it twice, meaning that the first rockets will start flying. Actually, I did it 5 times, so the first rockets or missiles will start flying at 5 and hitting Ukraine. I was giving those secret signals. So that was just the villain that died. It is not us. And more than that, the world is somewhat ready to eat it, to a degree. And us, since those people may be not too savvy in political matters, we are broadcasting them this opportunity. And the only person who is worth a pity in this situation will probably be Medvedev. He'll probably be the last one to understand what happened, and nothing is left for him, and then they'll probably give him up because of his extremist speeches about the war. And he likely will be just given up to the tribunal. He doesn't know himself that he needs to be there. We have 300 and a little thousand watching us live. I understand it's Friday, but still share the links to this cast in your accounts, social media, give it to your acquaintances and everybody, so they could continue watching, especially in Russia. If you send it in Messenger, I do get a lot of feedback from people who watched our cast because somebody shared with them, and yeah, they watch it on their iPhones and so subscribe to Feygin Live, to Arestovych, and to the Privateer station. All right, 31 minutes, getting closer to wrap this show. What is the dynamic about the supplies of weapons? Because now whole internet is full of memes with you and Schultz. You asking him where's the weapons, and he's saying another 2 weeks. How is the process? Is it going? Yes, it is. And Schultz is saying that Panzer howitzer is coming, and not just what they promised, but the whole 12, and that the Ukrainian soldiers are getting trained on it. I'm surprised how it works, but it appears that our show does have an effect. So, yes, we'll continue in this direction. It looks like they will give it. I don't think there are news about the weapon today, but even 12 is good. I thought Germany will give us 7. It ended up being 7 plus 5. Now it's 2 brigade sets. So a good brigade group implies a battery of 6 pieces, so 12 means 2. So some people are saying that Americans maneuvering will give you something, will not give you something, basically as a maneuver to give more things through Britons, that they're saying that it's just the beginning. Does it mean that at the end you guys might end up having those missiles, those missiles for MLRS that fly far? And when Americans said we'll give HIMARS, Brits came in and said, hey, we'll give our systems too. Is that fine? So they're also supporting Americans and giving weapons, and they're asking, can we give more? And Americans are nodding and saying, well, if it's your sovereign will to do that, of course. And, when there'll be more things coming, somebody could mislabel the box, and, all of a sudden there could be long-distance missiles that we possess. It's difficult logistics operation. Things happen. Now there is a sort of hysteria on 2 items in Russia. Today is day 100, but they actually prohibited Russian media from saying the number of days the war is going on. I have friends there who are writing me and telling, no, they're saying everything is according to the plan. There are phases. 100 days is not a big deal. Don't use that number. And the second thesis is armaments, Lend-Lease. Oh, the West is giving more weapons. It means more Slavs will die fighting between each other. People in Ukraine will suffer more. It's basically Yeah, it is almost as discussing was it good or not that the dead body experienced certain symptoms before it went dead in the course of disease, and those are good. No, the result is death. And also, Russian military are caught saying that if Western weapons arrive to the front, we might not be able to achieve our goals. It is diplomacy that failed. So it's Lavrov and his committee. And it has another interesting side to that, that sanctions continue to be implemented. And today states added 71 company to that list. Construction company, military construction companies, several of them. Powder developing companies, gunpowder, airplane, military communications, Russian nuclear center. So these are the sanctions on Russian military production capability. And here comes an interesting perspective that all these companies are providing for achievement of goals of Russian Federation, and now they're under sanctions, and they have tried buying things before. So even Sberbank also got into that list because they're funding these military companies. And while we're getting Lend-Lease, they're cutting off Russian military companies from being able to manufacture. So you know what the end of this story will look like. That's an important subject, Mark. Stop. Give me a couple more minutes. Vice Chairman of the European Parliament said that Hungary should be voice in European Union should be taken away because it is playing along on the Putin's hand and positioned itself really bad during the sixth package of sanctions, and it's only because of Hungary that this package is not as severe as it was supposed to be. And this principle of being absolute majority in voting, it doesn't work anymore. There are too many countries in Europe, so perhaps we should switch to the general majority. And that principle would basically annihilate Putin's capability of taking some countries hostages or bribing them into voting against the rest. So his efforts that are helping him to continue his war in Ukraine, that is not something they liked, and it does show that German representative, the vice chairwoman, indeed throws an interesting signal, and perhaps it'll go that way. At the same time, EU signs an agreement with Egypt to exploit a deep well in the Middle Sea, to exploit it for about 60 billion cubic meters. 90 is what Germany needs. This agglomerate has maybe 30% of Rosneft in it, but at least it's a general direction of diversification into other companies, other groups of companies. And perhaps it is being discussed, getting rid of Russian resources completely is being discussed on a serious level for the seventh package. And they also added some sanctions against personas. So Putin's chef Prigozhin, the chief of Russian search engine Yandex, gymnast Alina Kabayeva. I kind of heard that name somewhere. Right, Putin's wife, concubine. And Russian communication committees, Ukrainians who are cooperating with that. And what happened to our pedophile who is in Spain? He's under investigation, right? Yes, he is. And there's a lot of things happening about him in Lithuania as well. So you think the God's mill works slow but surely. So yeah, please let know that they need to expedite things because it's my birthday. Well, hang on, let me call. Lord, we need to expedite things. It's his birthday. All right. About 300,000 watching us. 330,000 watching us in summer on Friday. I understand it's not 500,000, but now it's not that sharp. That is a serious achievement. 330,000 on a summer Friday. That's hard. It's almost like double that in winter. So that's very objective process. Trust me. The moment we get big events, because they will go in counteroffensive at some point, we'll have 500,800,000 watching us at those times. So we'll have more events. And when there'll be final battles of this war, when there'll be liberation of territories, there'll be over 1 million here. So sit tight. That's real good. We do rely on that because for us it is important to win on our direction as well. And we are working in a digital world, in YouTube, everybody on their own place. Mark, if most people did their work as effectively as we do, this world would be a different place and the war hopefully would be almost over. All right, we've been 42 minutes live. As I said, 330,000 watching us. I'll ask everyone to leave likes, congratulate Mark, wish him happy birthday, and click like on that video. See, even I will click that like on Mark's video. So I cannot get away today without not clicking it. I'll have another little cast in 15 minutes and I'll just summarize things. Mark, 172,000 likes. About a half of those that are watching. They're not greedy. They're pretty generous. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Olexiy. See you tomorrow. Talk tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody.